I have this unpopular opinion, and I may have talked to you about this before, but it's where I think that people, when they get started in business, they start focusing in on what their target audience is, and they start looking for like the ideal client or their client avatar, and it ends up messing them up when they start to attract more leads into or more traffic into their business or their community because it's based off of things like a person's age, the demographic, what their interests are, rather than it being truly what they're trying to help people with, which is their messaging. I think if people would prioritize their messaging first, they would have a lot more results that lead to conversions and basically cut down a lot of time and frustration.
Why do you think demographics is such a problem to be focused on that first?
I think that when people started getting into business, they obviously marketing and traffic is going to be the first thing that you're worried about. And they end up like, I don't know how many years ago this was, but I think that they started going to the marketers to understand how to get the traffic to their business so that they would see if they could even be in business. But when you go to a marketing person, a lot of times they're going to think, let's run ads. And when you start running ads to a new business, whether it's online or offline, and they're thinking, let's just go with like meta ads, you can create an entire ad campaign, but you do want to narrow it down to those demographics. And yes, is that a good thing for if you're going to start with ads straight from the get go? Maybe. But I think that if they would start to just try to do organic traffic first with speaking through their message, and they when they start speaking their message, they're going to attract the right people because the people are going to hear themselves in the message and they're going to show up. You can ask the right questions to then turn around and figure out what the demographic of those people are. And then you could
Mhm.
run an ad campaign versus running an ad campaign and then finding out that maybe these people are not going to be the ones that you convert.
Right. I guess you're starting with going narrow when you pick the demographic. Like that's the whole point, I guess, is you're narrowing down, but you're narrowing down without having that feedback first. Like a lot of it, I think, is that psychological, like your idea of who you think you want to serve. But I know from my own experience, sometimes like I find out the people that actually I can help the most are people that I didn't even realize that I could help.
hmm There's been a lot of people because I've done a ton of clarity calls. I've done a lot of business consulting. And when people first get started, they start telling me, like, oh, I talked to nowadays is I talked to ChatGPT and I figured out what my audience was. And although I'm really excited for them to really get that like momentum and motivation, encouragement to feel like because they don't have the audience in front of them yet, but they feel
Hmm.
like they're there. So I like them having that knowing that there are people out there. However, when they do that, they start to bring these people in and we're just going to use Skool as an example because that's what I'm mostly working on nowadays. But they bring these people in the community and they're not able to convert them to the paid offer. And
Mm.
it's not that their paid offer isn't good. It's just they didn't attract the right people because they spent so much time focusing on, well, is this relatable to a 35-year-old mom in America versus this is my messaging of like I'm going to help single moms really understand how to have work-life balance when they have like toddlers at home and they're trying to make work happen because they still need to bring money in. Like that speaks more to that person than trying to figure out like, oh yeah, she's probably busy trying to figure out how to make bills work, but also clean the house. And then they start talking about accountability. It's usually the first one. And then they also try to talk about time blocking or work life balance. And the single mom is like, I don't care about that right now because there is no balance. I need the money coming in because she has that provider pressure. So if they would focus more on the messaging first and they start to really understand, hey, I'm here, like this is the problem is to help these people with being a single mom. I understand she has the pressures of like her kid could be sick. She might have to call into work and like daycare is not going to take the kid if the kid threw up. She doesn't have the support system around her. And so she has this provider pressure. So how do you handle provider pressure while working from home as a single mom and having sick kids? Well, I do that all the time. I have a kid. There was one day where I was helping people in my school and my kid had just thrown up. And I was like muting myself on my Zoom call while I'm like rinsing him off in the bath and comforting him and giving him his medicine and then like laying him back down. But I was able to unmute and like give the answers because I was able to be present with my kid and be present because, you know, moms can do that kind of multitasking. And the provider pressure didn't make me feel like I had to just cancel everything and make the decision between money and my kid because it is still my kid when it comes to money. So me being able to talk about that would be super relatable
Right.
to my audience rather than me talking about things that don't hit home.
Hmm. Yeah, I think part of it's probably just this, I don't know, that the desire to build a business coming from the place of wanting to get clients and not
Mhm.
thinking about it from a place of service. It's like, oh, if I can just get these people to buy my stuff, then I'll have a business. So we focus on like, who are the people that I need to get, that I need to get for myself, for my business. And it's just, I don't know, it just feels like maybe there's some type of mindset thing that's a problem there too, when you're kind of just hunting for this specific group of people rather than focused on like, what is it that I'm actually trying to say? Who am I actually trying to help?
Yeah, and I think it's natural if you come from it that way because now it's almost like we want to be people rather than a number, you know?
Yeah.
And you see that even in, like, movies and stuff, like, they'll be like, "We're not a number, we're real people." Well, we need to start treating our businesses like that, because when you do the whole target audience with a specific avatar,
Hmm.
where's the humanity behind the avatar? Where like, if you could actually think of, like, someone you know and
Yeah.
speak to that person, and your message is like, "Hey, William, I know that you're trying to help these people with this problem. Where do you think that this would hit home for them? Versus like, hey, William, I know that you want to help people with YouTube. So, what are the type of people that would be interested in YouTube?
Right.
You could have just gone after school community owners and said, I'd help you with YouTube. And then you just get piles of YouTube stuff to do. And it's different variations rather than really when you started talking to people and understanding them, especially like right now, we're doing it. Like, this is so meta. But I don't have the time to go and record all these videos, do the editing, do the titles, do any of the research behind, like, how do I need and, like, even getting the video back from you, even if you went and edited a video for me, getting it back from me, and then me figuring out, "When am I gonna publish this? I need to upload this." Because you have an offer where I can just show up, you have made the ability for anybody on Skool to just be able to do what they wanna do, which is showing up for their communities and then helping people and teaching. So you
Right.
took all the hard labor off of it, especially as you're talking to the you started off also, like, with your offer being that you started creating the videos for them, and then it was like, did are they uploading them? So you even
Yeah.
refined because you were actually getting in there and talking to your people.
Yeah, it's been a very messy process. Like I had no plans of doing video editing really as a business. It was just kind of started to happen through discussions on Skool. And I think that's one of the cool things about being in a community space is that you rather than like thinking I'm going to make a YouTube business and I'm going to go out and hunt for these people who need YouTube stuff. It's like I'm just here with other people communicating, meeting people, and okay, this person, maybe they need a VSL. So, okay, I'll start doing VSLs. And then, oh, maybe this person actually wants something a bit different. Oh, okay. And so the offer is being shaped in a very organic kind of way through discussions. And I don't know if that's like me consciously refining my messaging, but it is happening through talking with people rather than through planning it and trying to just put that offer out.
Yeah, I think that that's the other part of it is when you think about your messaging to bring in your audience, you're forced to go talk about it. And because if you're not gonna just slap a demographic on it and just come up with like
Right.
these cutter posts that definitely feel salesy and don't feel human, when you're talking to them, those discussions make you understand this, like
Mhm.
just even the way that they describe something.
Mhm.
And that that in itself is like marketing gold because if you can start to speak the language of the people that you're trying to attract, then you're not gonna have a problem with conversions because 'cause they're already gonna feel, that whole seen, heard type of thing.
So in terms of like trying to figure out how to speak like your avatar, we'll go back to the avatar language. It's like
Mhm.
I know there's a lot of advice out there about like consciously trying to, look through old conversations and like learn how to speak like they speak. Do you think that that's kind of a good approach to try to really analyze it? Because that still feels in a way to me like you're trying to like move towards that kind of avatar goal. Is it the same thing or is there a different way of doing it?
Well, and here's the thing is like I don't think there's anything wrong with having an avatar. In fact, everybody ends up having one. It's the way you go about figuring out what it is.
Mm,
And so if you go about trying to figure it out without even talking to or knowing those people, I don't think that you're going to hit home like you should. And then if you go through the messaging way, you're going to have all these conversations. And what happens naturally in conversations is you start to understand, like, as long as you're listening and truly there to hear them rather than just sell them, you're going to understand what's important to them. You're going to know what matters to them and hits home because that's just natural when it comes to communication. Like for me, when we were talking back about you starting to do the video editing, I knew it was important for you to still have that human connection. So that's just different than somebody sending you a bunch of footage for you to edit.
mm,
You're getting on and you're actually speaking with people and you're helping them. And it ended up being one of the best things ever for me because I needed testimonials where people felt natural. And so then you're talking to them and getting to hear their stories. So I knew that was important to you. And I wouldn't have known that if I hadn't had conversations with you. And so
mhm.
when you come back to knowing your avatar and you want to speak their language, I think it's part of it is you just have to also care. You have to care about the people that you're speaking to.
Mm,
And if you're not going to care in this day and age, you're going to be seen as not authentic and you're going to be seen as somebody that is just there to sell them on something.
yeah,
And people are so sick of that that it's not going to work.
yeah,
Now, to bring it back to like how do you figure out what your avatar is? Cuz let's say you went out there and you found places where you could speak your message enough so that you really understand the people that you've already attracted. You got like I don't know, 100 people in your community. Well, if you're going to have 100 people in your community, part of like having a good community is engaging them. And if you're engaging them, then natural conversations are going to happen. So you can, in the most authentic way that you can, start to ask the right questions. And that all starts from even them beginning to join your school. So if you go to the plugin section, let me go ahead and just show you as if I was going to start my own community. I'm just going to say this is a test and I'm going to just trust that you'll blur this out if it will let
Blurring it.
me. Okay, so I'm going to start a free trial real quick. Do do do. All right, so we're in a new community here, and what I would do is I'd come over to the settings and go to the plugins and go to membership questions. So this is how you first start understanding who's being attracted, because if you put your message out there in conversations, you've been on podcasts, you started talking on any of the social media platforms, they're already going to know your message. So we're going to turn this on. We're going to add a question. Very first question that you ask, I don't even phrase it like a question. I just put email. And we're going to bring it down to email address, because if one thing I want everybody to know, it is you have to own your business, and owning an email list is a business. All right. So the next one would be, are you excited to learn here? And you leave it as a text box. Now you can put multiple choice here, but I like to just leave it where they can give as little or as much information as they want. So I just put add, and then what would you like to overcome by being here? And this is just general. You can get more specific. Like in mine, I asked, like, have you ever had a community role, or are you an owner? And it will tell me either one. So I could even come over here, check my settings, plugins. It's like, are you a community owner or wanting a community role? What are you excited to learn here?
Right.
This gives me tons of feedback. And when you come to the members section, let's see. If I come through here, I can just click on a membership thing, go to questions, and I have all of this information. But you can export, and when you export, you'll get a whole file, and you could then take that file and just go through the questions. You can export it, and then you have all of this information that you can then use to understand what's most important to them. So if we go back to testing, if you have their email address, that's great. But excited to learn here and overcome. This will tell you why they came and what they think is actually inside your community before they even join. Because if someone put, I'm excited to learn this, and you're like, oh, I don't even have that in here yet. But that's something I know, and I could actually help people with. So then guess what? Your next post, because
Right.
this one person just joined, can be about this, and you can start putting content out there. If you want to like overcome, that's going to tell you a lot about them as well, because they're going to tell you their struggles. And you don't have to use this. It could be something else, but just try to use good questions and use the text box so they give you as much information. One thing that I also recommend for people, and by the way, when you come to the members, it's just that export button to get that information. But you can put posts in here and be like, where are you from? And so something as simple as like,
But I know where they're
like
from. I targeted them all and they're all from Florida.
like to get to know you guys more. Da da da, and just put like a whole post together. You can even add like a poll that makes it interesting, where you could put like the 7 different continents if you want, or it could even be like, what kind of do you celebrate? Share your own personal story where it's like, hey, I just went and bought this new car. I really like it because of these kind of things. What kind of car do you have? You can find out all these details, and it just be interesting for people. Like, find out if they're a pet person. Are they a dog or a cat lover? Put some
Mm,
do you believe in pineapple on pizza? You know? And it might not have to do with whatever you're trying to teach people about. It's breaking up that pattern, and breaking up
mm.
that pattern, you get to know who the real person is a little bit more. Another thing that I would hope more people would do, and I plan on releasing like a easy, simple, like, copy paste thing inside my community for this is a creating the baseline. So when somebody joins, to get them to know them more, you could send them a baseline form where they are now sharing who they are currently, and then you do a check-in form, like, "Hey, I'd like to check in with you. Here's a
Mm.
form if you would fill it out, it would really help me out, and I'd really appreciate it. I'd love to, like, hear what it matters to you." And you could even ask them, like, if there's one thing that you need to make sure is kept here, what would it be? Like, if everything else was gonna go away, what would you wanna keep here? And they tell you that. You could also put, like, what is one thing that you think is missing from the community that you'd like to see? What would you love more of? And they'll tell you these things, but then you ask them their transformation, because now if you have the baseline for them and the transformation, now you know what
Who
others
your
are going to be
avatar is.
looking for. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
really understanding the avatar now.
Mm.
And that baseline is going to tell you the way that they talk prior to your help. Because a lot of people will be like, okay, well, I got the audience in, I helped them. And then they go to get a testimonial, and then they use that testimonial as if that's going to be what helps them reach the people that they want to help. But by the time you hit the end where it's the testimonial
Right.
people, it's not, it's only giving the outcome that they want. It's not going to speak to the person that they were before.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I kinda do it the unpopular way, but I feel like, to me, this is the way that, like, hits home the most, and I think it's how we should really choose to treat people is a more human way of connecting. So, for everybody that's been viewing this video, I wanna know, what have you guys tried? What have you done inside your business or your community, whether it was on Skool or off Skool, to attract the right people into your business or the right clients, the right avatar? What has worked for you, and what do you think about what we've talked about today? Is this something that you'd give a try? Let us know in the comments, and I'd love to see you inside Skool. So if you find me from the video, come tell me hi on the platform.